Have you ever added up your monthly expenses and thought, I didn't buy anything crazy this month? And yet somehow your account looks like you robbed a liquor store and then paid it all back in interest? No big purchases, no emergencies, just normal life. And yet the number staring back at you makes no sense. Here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not the big purchases that are wrecking you. It's the normal ones. The stuff you don't even think twice about because everyone else is doing it too. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about money and why smart, hardworking people stay broke while doing everything that looks responsible on the surface. If you want to actually see where your money is disappearing to, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up because today I'm walking through 7 purchases that feel completely normal but are quietly draining your future. Number 1. Your daily convenience spending. Not one big splurge, just the small stuff. Coffee on the way to work, lunch because you forgot to meal prep, a snack from the gas station. Individually, none of this registers as a problem. $5 here, 12 there. It doesn't feel like spending, it feels like living. But here's the math nobody does. That harmless $15 a day in convenience purchases is over $5,000 a year. $5,000 that never shows up as a line item you'd actually notice because it's death by 1,000 cuts instead of one big wound. And the worst part is you can't even remember what you bought. Ask yourself right now what you spent money on Tuesday. You probably can't answer. That's the problem. Invisible spending is the most dangerous kind because you can't fix what you can't see. Number 2. Subscriptions you forgot you have. Streaming services, apps, a gym membership you haven't used since February, some newsletter that auto-renewed a year ago. Each one is small, $10, $15, individually forgettable. But add them up and the average person is bleeding $60, $80, sometimes over $100 a month to companies for services they're barely using. That's over $1,000 a year for things you'd cancel in 5 seconds if you actually looked at your statement. And subscription companies know this. They're not betting you'll use the product. They're betting you'll forget to cancel it. The entire business model is built on your inattention. You're not paying for value. You're paying a tax on being busy. Number 3, the treat yourself purchase. This one's sneaky because it's wrapped in self-care language. You had a rough week, so you deserve something nice. A new gadget, a nicer dinner, some impulse buy online at midnight. On its own, totally harmless. Except you deserve this becomes the justification for spending decisions multiple times a month, and it never gets audited because it feels emotionally justified every single time. Here's the thing nobody wants to hear. Treating yourself with money you don't have room for isn't self-care. It's self-sabotage wearing a nicer outfit. Real self-care is not lying awake stressed about your balance 3 weeks later. Number 4. Financing anything that isn't a house. Furniture, electronics, even mattresses now come with low monthly payments. And it feels responsible because you're not paying it all at once. But you're not actually saving money by financing a $2,000 couch. You're paying interest on a piece of furniture that'll be worn out before you've even finished paying for it. This is the trap. Financing makes expensive things feel affordable in the moment while making you poorer in the long run. If you can't pay for it outright, that's not a sign you need a payment plan. That's a sign you can't afford it yet. Full stop. Number 5. Upgrading things that still work. Your phone still works, your laptop still works, but a new model came out, yours feels slightly outdated, and suddenly upgrading feels less like a want and more like a need. This one's brutal because tech companies have built entire marketing departments around convincing you that still functional equals obsolete. A phone upgrade every year or two, multiplied across every device you own, easily adds up to over $1,000 annually. Money that could be compounding in an investment account instead of compounding Apple's stock price. Ask yourself honestly, does the new one actually change your life, or does it just feel new for about 2 weeks before it becomes your new normal? Number 6. The bigger apartment or house you need. Not because your family grew or your job requires it, but because you feel like you should be living somewhere nicer by now. This one is the most dangerous on the list because housing costs are so large that a small upgrade in lifestyle creates a massive gap in your ability to save. An extra $300 or $400 a month in rent doesn't just cost you $300 or $400. Over a decade, invested instead of spent, that's tens of thousands of dollars in lost compound growth. People don't think about opportunity cost when they're touring apartments with nicer countertops. They think about how good it'll feel to finally have space. But that feeling costs more than anyone realizes until they run the actual numbers. Number 7. Keeping up appearances. This is the granddaddy of them all, and it touches every other item on this list. The nicer car than you need, the brand name over the generic, the vacation you post about but can't actually afford, None of it is really about the item. It's about how you think it makes you look to other people. And here's the part that stings. Most of those people aren't paying attention to you the way you think they are. They're too busy worrying about how they look to notice how you look. Meanwhile, you're the one stuck with the bill, the debt, and the stress, chasing an image that nobody's actually keeping score of. So here's what all 7 of these have in common. None of them feel like a mistake in the moment. That's exactly what makes them dangerous. A single bad purchase doesn't ruin anyone. It's never one decision. It's the accumulation of a dozen normal, reasonable-sounding purchases that quietly eat away at your ability to build any real financial cushion. You look up after 5 years and you've made decent money the entire time, but you have nothing to show for it, and you can't even point to what happened. Here's the shift that actually changes things. Stop asking, "Can I afford this?" Almost everything on this list you technically can afford in the moment. That's not the right question. The real question is, what does this cost me 5 years from now if I invested it instead? That $15 a day in coffee and lunch, invested instead of spent, is worth over $80,000 in 20 years at a modest return. That forgotten subscription pile, redirected into an index fund, compounds into a down payment. That's not a coincidence. That's just what money does when you stop leaking it and start pointing it in one direction. None of this means live like you're broke. Nobody's saying skip every coffee or never upgrade your phone again. That's not the point, and honestly, that mindset never sticks anyway. The point is to actually notice where your money is going instead of drifting through your financial life on autopilot. Most people aren't overspending on one big obvious thing. They're overspending on 7 small invisible things, all at once, none of which feel like a problem individually. The people who actually build wealth aren't the ones who never enjoy their money. They're the ones who spend on purpose instead of by accident. They know exactly which of these 7 categories they're willing to spend on, and they cut the rest without guilt because they understand the trade-off. Every dollar you don't notice leaving your account is a dollar that isn't working for your future. And the scariest part of all 7 of these purchases isn't the money itself. It's that they feel so normal, you'll never even think to question them unless someone points it out. So take a real look this week. Pull up your bank statement and actually read it, line by line, not just the big stuff. You'll probably find at least 3 of these 7 hiding in plain sight, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. That's usually where the real change starts. Not with some dramatic overhaul of your entire life, but with quietly closing the leaks nobody ever